Hey guys, and welcome back to another Unfiltered Gamer board game review. And today's game up on the tabletop is Builders of Sylvan by Ares Games. This game plays 2 to 4 players, takes roughly about 30 to 45 minutes to play, and is for ages 13 and up. And in the game of Builders of Sylvan, you are building the trees of Sylvan. You're going to be playing as woodlands and creatures, attempting to create treetops onto tree trunks, creating a stack of 6 to craft your tree. This is an area control game where you utilize your colored pieces to build on these trees to control not only the tree itself, but the area surrounding the tree. And the game's simple. You'll be playing a card, placing your tree onto the tree of the card that you just played anywhere on this board here, and passing. And each player will do so, drawing new cards from the market here, which is available to you either face up or face down from the top of the deck. And you'll progress until all the trees have been played. When that happens, you'll tally up your score for basically each of the different areas as well as the trees themselves. And of course, there's a middle portion of the game where you'll also be tallying up your score as well, because you'll be dividing your tree trunks in by half. And that's basically the idea of the game: scoring the areas, scoring the trees, placing cards out, playing them out, and then drawing new ones and crafting the best area for Sylvan. All right, let's see about the game, how to set it up, how to play, and of course, my review. To begin the game, the first thing that you do is you take the main game board out and place it within reach of all players. If you're playing with a lower count game, you flip it to one side, or the higher count game, you'll flip it to the other. Here I have the lower count side, so that's a 4x4 grid. Take all the base trees. These guys here are going to be brownish gray, and you'll place them on the X spaces in the 4x4 grid. Then give each player their tree trunks or treetops. This is going to be the yellow player, so they will get all the yellow tiles, as well as the yellow flag banners. And then over here we have green. Set aside the rest of the components, whether they be ladders, whether they be axes or hammers, and currency, as well as tree tops. These will be set aside as well. Any players not playing can set aside their banners and their tree trunks. Take the main deck of cards, shuffle that up, deal out 3 to the marketplace, and then give each player 4 cards. And then from there, the game's ready to go. Okay, so playing the game Builders of Sylvan, the first thing you'll have to do to begin your turn is you'll have your 4 cards and you'll be playing one. But before we get into that, look at this board here. Notice how it's kind of turned to the side? Well, that's because you'll need to see these grayish brown trunks to determine where you have to place your specific tiles when you play your cards. And so you always want this board to be kind of shifted to the side so that each player on each end can see these. Otherwise, it's going to be rather difficult. And if you want or need to, you can go ahead and flop these around or turn them so that they can fit to meet your criteria. To begin your turn, simply play a card. You'll take one of these cards here and you'll play it out into your tableau. That card is going to represent 2 things. A, this is going to be the trunk of the tree you will have to place your tile on. And then on the bottom will represent one of 3 icons that you need in order to gain a bonus. I have an axe here, so I'm going to place this down, and that's going to meet my specific first criteria, which is the tree I have to place. Secondly, this is the tile I have to place, which is the top of my tile. And luckily they match. So I have to place this kind of home-looking tile, and I have to place it on a home-looking trunk. So I'm going to look around on the game board, and then I will place it. And when you place these tiles, you'll place them vertically, going from left to right, so that it kind of matches itself up. So now you can see I have a double-sided here. Once I have played one of my cards and left the card on my tableau and then played my tile on the corresponding space to where my card was, so what icon my card has, then I'm going to go ahead and end my turn. I will draw one of the cards, whether it be in the market, one of the 3 here, or from the top of the deck. Remember too, you can always look through your stack here, but you may never rearrange them. So you can always look to see what your next one is and your next one, but you just can't rearrange your stack. And you can also check your hand to see as well what you may need. In this case, I don't need these 3, so I'll take one from the top of the deck. And my turn is done. And the next player will get a chance to go, and they're going to have their 4 cards as well. And they're going to go ahead and play one of their tiles, or one of their cards, place one of their tiles. They look like they have kind of like a little circular spherical trunk, and this is going to be the angular tile. So I'm going to have to find the circular space, which is here, and place my angular piece, which is going to look like that. And they'll have their little card out, which is actually going to be represented by the different treetop and the bridge. In this case, if there's more than one icon, you can choose which icon when you turn these cards in for a bonus. And they'll take a card and pass their turn. That's it. That's how the game is played. And it'll go back and forth up until the point where this stack empties. And when the stack empties, the round will end. You will score for the round, and then you will move on to the next round with your final stack. And when this stack ends, then that is going to trigger the ending of the game, in which you'll score once again, and whoever has the most points is the winner. These are the points of the game. They're little icon tokens that you'll be utilizing throughout the game. This is a way in which you can keep track of your points that you will gain. And there's a variety of ways you can gain points. So we'll talk about that now. When you place out your tree tiles onto the tree trunks here, you are going to be looking for one thing. If there are at least 3 of the type of tile that you place on that tree, you are going to score a banner and you will get 5 points. So for instance, if I have a mushroom trunk and I place 2 more mushroom trunks anywhere on this tree, that is going to secure me one of these banners, in which case I'll score 5 points. It doesn't need to be in a row. It can be anywhere on the tree, and they don't necessarily have to be yours. If Bill and Ted both placed a mushroom on this tree, I placed a 4th mushroom, it would still count. But you can only have 1 banner for each of the trees, and banners score you 5 points. So these are enough for all the different trees, provided you want to go that route. The other thing that you can do is you can play your cards when you turn them in. So these cards are worth basically nothing once you've played them on your tableau, but you can turn in as many stacks of 3 as you want for items, and you can use 1 item per turn. So for instance, the axe. If I turn in 3 cards in my tableau that had the axe symbol, I would get an axe token. This token is able to chop trees. I can chop any of the tops of any of the trees here. So if I wanted to chop the top tree here that was my opponent's, I would basically remove this piece from the game. So a very strong action. The build action. The build action, if I turn in 3 cards with 3 build icon symbols, I can choose to swap. I will swap one of my locations and place it somewhere else on the game board. That can be very useful for a variety of things, which I'll talk about in the review, but that's how it works. Swap one of your tops with any one of the other tops. The bridge. The bridge is a way in which you can score. You basically will put a bridge and you will attach it between 2 trees, and each section can only have 1 bridge, but you can have one on all 4 sections on a singular tree. And you will score points based on a variety of things. How many of these tiles there are, and if you control the tree. So if you control the tree and there's 4 tiles on it, you'll score 4 points. If you control the other tree and it has 6 tiles on it, you'll score 6 points. So it's another way of scoring points other than just the banner. There's also the treetop. While these are worth no points, what they do allow you to do is they will protect a tree. So for instance, if you have a tree that you are currently in possession of, you can go ahead and place this top on it and protect it. No more can people place on this tree, and nothing can remove the top, not even the axe. And those are all the main different actions for your cards. The chop, the maneuverable build, the bridge, which will score you points, and of course the tree top. How do you score in the middle and the end of the game? Well, at the middle of the game, when you run out of your first set of tiles, everybody's going to score, and you'll go through each tree to see who has control of it. The player that has control is the player that has more pieces on the tree. So if I have 3 pieces and you have 2 and there's a base piece, I would control the tree. However, if I have 2 and you have 2 and then there's the base, what will happen is whoever has the highest point on the tree is going to score the control. And when you score control, you'll calculate all of the different pieces on that tree and you'll get that many points from the pool. And you'll do that for every single tree available on the game board. Additionally, there are areas on the game board that will house a number of trees. This one has 3, this one has 5, here's a 4, and here's a 4. And basically, you'll calculate after scoring individual trees, the area of the trees. And you'll score 2 points for every single tree in an area if you control it. So if I have these 2 trees, and Bill has this tree, and Ted has this tree, then basically I'm going to get 8 points because I control the area. Ties are split. All right? And that's pretty much it. You'll go to the end of the game and you will trigger it the same way. You'll score points for each of the trees, whoever controls each of the areas, and then you'll tally up your points to see who has the most points, and that player is the winner. Okay, so Builders of Sylvan, not to be confused with Everdell, although the theme is very similar and the art style has some similarities as well. This is an area control game. This is placing vertical tiles to create trees, which then form tree tops, which are trying to control not only the specific tree itself, but the tile area as well. Utilizing your cards in your tableau to basically gain the benefit of icons like the axe and the hammer, the treetop, and the bridge to score you additional points to lock off trees and protect the areas that you're going for. Positives first, then negatives, then you go ahead and decide what you want to do. Positives. Artwork, Theme, styling, wonderful. A lot of love, a lot of effort put into this game board. The feeling of the different tree areas is very much felt. I love the stylization of the trees and the tiles. Very easy to tell the difference between all the things and how you're stacking them. Minus a few things which I'll cover later, but overall, very simplistic design, really well done. Even the cards have an illustration of the tree type that you're going to be adding, as well as the icon symbol that you're going to be able to turn in once you get 3 of them to do a thing. And remembering these icons is also very simple. The tree top tops the tree, blocks everything. The bridge scores you points between trees as long as they're your trees. The axe chops somebody else's top, and the build lets you move one of your tops. That's easy. And then the banner is simply having 3 of the same tile on a specific tree area, and you having controlled the last piece when you played it down. There are 3 when you place the piece, you get the banner, and a nice way of scoring 5 points. The stylization of the game and the theme really tie into each other because I do feel like I am trying to build and work with other people to build, but I also want to be greedy in making sure that I score the most points. Controlling the tree at the end of the game is what's important to thusly control the area to score yourself some banger points. Utilizing banners and utilizing bridges along the way are going to score you a good chunk of points as well. And at the end of the game, it's always going to feel close, no matter how far along you feel you are or are not, because everybody gets the same amount of tiles and cards to play, and really it's going to come down to how you play your tiles and how you play your cards to score you those bonus actions that you can take throughout the game. But you will eventually always get to be able to choose to do at least a few actions, even if you play your cards not so well. Which means that as you play this game, the more you play, the more you'll learn about what cards you want to take. You'll have to decide between, do I want to play this tree or do I really want this axe? And I'm willing to sacrifice the ability to get a banner sooner in order to thusly chop an opponent's tree that's doing well. Now, this kind of fits into the neutral or negative territory, but when you are in first place in this game, people will notice, especially after the first round when scoring happens. And so players are going to come after you. They are going to be attempting to chop your trees and control your area. And so there's a bit of a push-pull dilemma, kind of like Munchkin and other games like that, in which you'll notice if somebody gets too high, too quickly, you will be chopped down. You will be blocked, you will be stopped, and it'll be harder for you to push ahead. So you have to kind of make sure that you lean on protecting yourself and getting as many points as you can, but never being too high up until right at the end there, right when the second portion of the round begins, and pushing yourself. There's a social element to this. There's also a luck factor. You need to place down cards that allow you to play your tiles down onto those trees to score banners. Banners are 5 points, and at the end of the game, you can win by simply 5 to 10 points. It is going to be that close in a lot of cases. So being aware of that and how you want to kind of subjugate taking cards for the trees themselves or the icons is going to be up to you. I love all the action abilities, they're all really fun, except for the hammer. The hammer sucks. There's one cool thing you can do with it, which I'll explain now, but basically when you play the hammer out, you can place one of your tops down onto a tree, score your banner, then use your hammer to move it to where you really want it to go. That's pretty much the only time I saw it useful, because most of the time you want to keep your trees where they are when you place them, because it's technically usually going to be this is the best move for my turn, thus I'm going to place it here. And so the hammer doesn't get used a lot, but it can let you score 5 points. So if you use it meticulously, there's a benefit to it. Treetops are great, the bridges are fun, adds thematic elements to the game, makes it feel like you're actually building trees, and the chopping, while dirty, can be a little aggressive, is a lot of fun as well. This game kind of fit in my middle-of-the-road category. I thought I was going to really like this one. I don't hate it, but it's not something that I would generally bring out to play. It's definitely a lot of puzzling, it's definitely a lot of thinking when it comes to what cards you're going to get and how you're going to play them. There's a little bit of luck in terms of if they think you're winning or are going to win, they will come after you, and thusly you will fall behind, not even from your own fault, but because of the dynamic of the social element to the game. So just remember there is a social element to this game as to how players are going to place, and typically the player who is less picked on is typically the player who is going to win. If your area is being controlled by you and no one messes with you, especially if you have a larger area, you win. That's kind of going to be how it works. So you have to have a group of very smart players who can kind of see the flow of the game and balance itself out to making sure that at the very last second, that's where it matters. And in a lot of the cases when I played this game, that's what happened. But there were instances where I was like, oh, no one messed with me this game. I am scoring a boatload of points. So do take that into consideration. My entire table really loved this game. They thought it was a lot of fun. I asked them about playing it again, and like, oh yeah, everything. They loved the theme, the art, the elements, all that, and I agree with them on for the most part. But the push and pull kind of push on the first player, bring them down, and then the player gets less picked on was the only thing that really drew me out of this game. So this is kind of a middle of the road game. It's not a game I would definitely not want to play again. I would play this game again. It's solid, it's a beautiful design, the artwork, the illustrations, all that feels really good. It's just necessarily not for me, not what I was expecting of a game, but not a bad game either. I can see this game hitting a lot of puzzle lovers, a lot of area control lovers, and people who like the social dynamic in a game that involves building trees. If you're a fan of Everdell, if you're a fan of those type of beautiful looking games, this is gonna sit right next to it on the shelf and look beautiful. And have a lot of choices, which is great, but nothing too complex where you can't explain to anybody else. All right, that's pretty much it for the game. If you're interested, there'll be a link down below. Thank you guys for watching another Unfiltered Gamer board game review for the game Builders of Sylvan. If you're interested in picking up this game, there is a link down below in the description. I also should mention that there is a beautiful insert with this game. I was very, very impressed with that. You build it yourself and you put it in, it fits all your pieces and components, which is wonderful. My favorite aspect of a game is always opening the box. Statistically, that's how it is for everybody. And so seeing a beautiful box with beautiful components, well illustrated designs, is just excellent. The Ares games kicked this out of the park when it came to manufacturing, making sure all the choices were made very well, and it looks great. It looks great on a shelf. Oof. Subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, the bell notification button, and like I said, there'll be a link down below so you can go ahead and pick up Builders of Sylvan. All right, guys, that's all I got for this time, and as always, I look forward to building some treetops with you guys next time.